Some of my favorite videos to make in War Thunder are videos like this one, where I'm actually going after a vehicle that no one really ever talks about for being overpowered and being completely broken for what it is. So in the past, we've definitely went after vehicles like the Object 279, which was a vehicle 8.7 that basically could just meme on everything below it. And funny enough, after a bunch of people talked about the vehicle being completely broken, it finally got moved up to 9.0. So this is the type of video that I really want to make, because I think it's incredibly important for these types of vehicles to actually be nerfed and actually be remembered, because it's a bad precedent to set that, well, this vehicle is an event vehicle, or this vehicle, costs money when it comes to the Gaijin market, of just where, people would want to buy this to actually buy power. And in this video, we're going to be covering the T18E2 Boar Hound, which is a vehicle that is at 3.0, that has a better gun than the Sherman, and is also stabilized and on a platform, which just makes it completely overpowered for what it is. So if you've never heard of the T18E2 Boar Hound, I don't really blame you, because it's a vehicle that came out with the Chronicles of World War II event back in 2018. So it's right before War Thunder started to get a little bit popular whenever it came to actually getting a player base. So it's a vehicle that's kind of before the time of, there's supersonic jets, all that sort of things. And it's a vehicle that you rarely ever see on the battlefield, but there's a reason behind it, because there isn't as many players from that era still playing the game. So now you may be like, Dawg, why are you actually going after a vehicle that's a rank 2? And to be honest, you're completely valid in that point. But at the same time, the thing about War Thunder is since it's considered an event vehicle, it is able to do events whenever it comes to grinding score, or grinding boxes whenever it comes to the crafting event, which makes this vehicle extremely good for actually grinding those events out, even though the modifiers on them is extremely low. Just because you're able to do really well with the vehicle, you're actually able to get a ton of score whenever it comes to actually playing it. So just saying, with this vehicle, I've probably had, over, at this point, probably 30 or 40 games of just where it's like 16 plus kills, because the enemies are just very new at the game, or they're not able to actually kill the thing. Because once again, as everyone does whenever it comes to these types of vehicles, it's a vehicle that people don't really ever see often, and since people never really see this thing in general, they don't know where to shoot it. So if you put bushes on this thing, it makes it completely overpowered to where no one even knows where to hit it, because the angles on the front of the tank are just extreme whenever it comes to actually pinning the thing. So now let's talk about the gun, because the gun is pretty much the best thing about this vehicle, because everything else is really kind of crap about it. The reverse speed is pretty poor, the mobility is actually pretty poor with it as well. But the one thing that this thing has that's going for it really nicely is the 57mm M1 cannon. So this cannon is found on two other things within War Thunder. It's found on the SU-57, funny enough, for Russia, with that little premium. To be honest, it's not really the best thing in the world, because it's literally just a half track. But it's also found on the Chrome 1 with the Shot Mark 9 round, which is basically the same round that this thing has, but it does not have any HE filler in it. And funny enough, the Chrome Mark 1 is a higher BR than the T18E2 Boar Hound, which is just insanity to me that thing is actually a higher BR. It's 3.7 instead of 3.0, and this thing has an APHE round, which is just crazy to me. So you may be like, Dawg, is that all that really that thing has? It's just a 57mm. It has a little bit more pin than a 75. No, it also has a 4-second reload, which just means that you can just pump rounds into people over and over and over, and there's nothing really they can do about it. It even beats out majority of the reloads at the lower tiers whenever it comes to the 2.0 to 3.0 area. So that basically just means that you're able to meme on everything whenever it comes out, especially with Panzer 3s and Panzer 4s. They're basically just shoot center mass and it kills everything. The only problem that the T18E2 Boar Hound has is if it goes against T34s or KV1. But then even then, if you're able to get really good shots onto the turret of a T34, or you're able to shoot the weak spots of a KV1, the gun still can perform. You just actually have to aim at that point instead of just shooting for center mass. So the next thing to note about the T18E2 Boar Hound is that it has 5 crews, so the survivability on this thing is actually pretty insane. You can get shot with it in the front, and because of the 5 crew and how, they're spaced out a good bit, you're actually able to survive a lot of shots, especially if it's from like small caliber cannons, like the 45 from like a BT7, or stuff like the 50mm from Germany. You can actually survive that, which is just crazy. And then to also put the survivability on another pedestal, your ammo racks are deep inside of the tank. So they're basically in the back, and if APHE pins you, you basically will just get it defused before it will ever get to your back ammo rack. You do have your ammo racks that are on the side of the turret, but the thing about it is, from the front, basically they'll never get hit. Unless someone gets around into the turret itself, they're not able to pin that because it's a heavily angled, portion of the turret. Now, from the side, it is definitely a weak spot. It's probably the easiest way to kill the T18E2 Boar Hound. But at the same time, this thing is very survivable, and it kind of amazes me the amount of times I'm just able to get shot and just turn around and just shoot the person who actually shot me, which is just crazy whenever it comes to the vehicle itself. The vehicle is massive whenever it comes to, it actually looking like that. And it's just really crazy that even if you're getting shot with 75s, I've been shot by 75s from Shermans, I've been shot with 75s from the Germans, and it just bounces or it pins and it kills like 2 crew members, and my turret crew is still just able to shoot back. And it's just insanity that this thing is still 3.0. So now let's get on to the portion of this video where I talk about actually fixing the thing. So the first definite thing it needs to do is go up in BR. It needs to go up to at least 3.3, maybe even 3.7. And if it's still overpowered at even 3.7, at least go to 4.0 to where guns can just whoop in it. The thing is that this thing can even perform at BRs like 5.0 and, you know, like 5.7, because it does have still a really good gun to actually do stuff within those BR brackets. Now, I'm not saying actually put it up to those battle ratings, but what I am saying is that 3.0 with this gun is just really crazy to actually see. Now, also, there's this big stigma whenever it comes to event vehicles that they should be valuable or they should be, you know, stuff that's actually able to grind out stuff. I would actually prefer if the lower tier event vehicles had more of a downside to actually playing them for event, because that's the reason you play the T18E2 Boar Hound. As an event comes around, like the winter event which just came around, and you just play it and you get a ton of score by basically beating up on people who either just started the game or that they're at that BR bracket where they're kind of just learning. Now, I do understand there's going to be other people around that BR bracket which are basically doing the same thing as you are, where you're just beating up on people until you get enough score to get the event done. Now, that's not really fair. It's not really fun whenever you have a vehicle that no one can obtain because it's just out of everyone's pretty much price range on the market. That is just pay to win. It's not fun. And I feel like that is going to be the detriment for a lot of players of where they just see these vehicles at very low tier, especially during event times. Like, I would hate to actually start War Thunder, like for my very first time whenever events going on, because I know there's going to be people down at those BR brackets playing stuff like the Gaijin and, you know, vehicles like the 20mm Puma for Germany, just because they have an event vehicle status where they're actually able to earn score and they're actually able to get the event done pretty quickly. The T18E2 Boar Hound was a vehicle that I played during the event, especially during the Christmas of the 24th and 25th, of where I just needed the event done. And I got it done within probably like an hour and 45 minutes of doing the ground task, which is just crazy. It's way quicker than whatever I was trying to do before. And now, at least, I just see that this thing is just completely broken. It really needs to be fixed whenever it comes to War Thunder. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot more vehicles within the game like this. You know, the Gaijin, which is one that I mentioned before, is a vehicle that people like to do because, well, no one knows how to kill it because it's like 1.7, isn't it? Like 1.7 or 1.3 of just basically no one knows what to do with it. Or it might be actually 2.0 now, as I kind of remember it. But yeah, it's a vehicle that, you know, is crazy because you're playing people who basically don't know how to do the game. You get an insane high KD like I did in the T18E2 Boar Hound, which was like 88 deaths to like 500 and something kills. It was like 538 kills to 88 deaths, which is just crazy. A 73% win rate. And then you just expect that to be fine. No, I don't. I believe that War Thunder should be a game that is pretty much always going to be kind of fair in any BR bracket that you play. And if you're just paying for power or you had an event vehicle before somebody else, to me, that's just kind of lame. And hopefully War Thunder starts fixing these sort of issues and remembering that there's vehicles that's not just top tier, or there's vehicles that have issues that need fixed within the game that don't get any love or don't get any praise. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next War Thunder video.